Hi guys, Ashura here, and in this video I will be telling you guys as to how Luffy can defeat Katakuri with just Gear 4th. He doesn't need to know Awakening, he doesn't need to know Gear 5th, but with just Gear 4th, Luffy has a chance in which he can defeat Katakuri. Oh, when I say he can defeat him with just Gear 4th, I don't mean a weakened Katakuri. I mean Katakuri how he is right now, how he is at the end of chapter 884. Luffy can beat him without anyone's help or without any handicap. As soon as you guys heard this, I'm pretty sure most of you guys will be thinking that I'm out of my mind, because there's no way Luffy can defeat Katakuri with just Gear 4th. If you guys are thinking like that, then I won't blame you guys. I mean, his armament haki is on the next level, his devil fruit is awakened, and to top it all off, his observation haki is leagues above Luffy. He is using it to predict where Luffy will attack next, and is modifying his body in such a way that Luffy's attacks won't impact on him. This guy is seriously OP, and it just looks like it is impossible for Luffy to beat him. And it is actually impossible for Luffy to defeat him with just Poundman or Tankman. So for Luffy to defeat Katakuri, I believe that Luffy needs another form of Gear 4th, a form which prioritizes speed over strength. A form of Gear 4th in which Luffy can achieve insane speeds. A form in which Luffy can create after images, making it look like Luffy's clothes. So that is what I'm saying, an insanely fast Gear 4th form. And what I'm saying now is not new, because there has been many theories already saying that Luffy has this third form of Gear 4th which prioritizes speed over power. So a lot of credit actually goes to those guys who made up those theories, because I was able to get to this theory from their theories. Thanks guys. So having said that, let me tell you guys as to how speed will help Luffy. Now, Capone said that Katakuri can see a bit into the future, but that is completely useless because he has the same ability to change the future as anyone else. Now, this statement, I believe, is really important. So, how will this help Luffy? Well, even if Katakuri is able to see into the future, if he can't change it, if he can't avoid a hit which he knows he will be receiving by Luffy, then his observational haki will become rather useless. Well, what do I mean by this? I think Luffy can move so fast that he can keep hitting Katakuri in so many different directions and so many different ways that Katakuri can't dodge it. He will be forced to stop using observation haki and go on the defensive. Why? I think that'll be because of the limits of his devil fruit. Katakuri can maybe at best allow through 100 punches through him in a minute, but if Luffy is doing 200 punches, 300 punches, maybe even 1,000 punches in a minute, then Katakuri won't be able to make them all pass through his body. He will at one point or the other get to his limit, and he will stop relying on observation haki to dodge and go to armament haki. I'm pretty sure when you guys hear this, you guys will be thinking of Luffy and Bellamy's fight. Mainly because Bellamy did the same thing against Luffy. He was hopping around Luffy so much that nobody around Luffy could even see where Bellamy was. But Luffy knew exactly where Bellamy would come, and he struck him right on the face, denting his cheeks. So in this scenario, it will also be the same thing. Even though Katakuri won't be able to match up to Luffy's speed, but he will know where Luffy will be exactly, and he will hit him there. So if you guys are thinking like that, that is where you guys are wrong. Because what I believe will happen is Luffy will be moving so fast that what Katakuri will be sensing through his observation haki will be Luffy's after images. He will try to capture Luffy or try to hit Luffy, but all he'll be hitting will be dust because he won't be able to sense where the Luffy is at that point. Because even if he knows that Luffy will come there, when he tries to hit him, all he'll see will be an after image left by Luffy. So like this, Luffy will be able to deal a lot of hits to Katakuri in a relatively short span of time. But having said that, these hits won't be as powerful as Luffy's Gear 4 Kongans. In spite of that, I believe that each hit will be as strong as a Red Hawk in Luffy's Gear 2nd. And even though these might not deal as much damage, they will still hurt Katakuri because, as we saw in chapter 883 at the end, Luffy was able to damage Katakuri, or rather hit Katakuri in the chin really hard, even if it was just normal Luffy with armor and haki. So Red Hawks should deal a lot more damage. But these attacks definitely won't be sufficient to defeat Katakuri. But what it will do is force Katakuri to go to a defensive maneuver because he's not able to evade them. Also, since these attacks will be quite irritating, Katakuri might actually lose focus and will be forced to stop using observation haki even if he wanted to keep evading them. So what will happen is Katakuri will stop relying on observation haki and go to his armament haki. And once he does that, he can cover his entire body in armament, or to make it a little more dramatic, he might actually cover his entire body in mochi, giving him a mochi defense. It could be a ball of mochi, it could be some kind of shield, it could be anything. But basically, Katakuri will be covered in mochi, giving him a huge ball of defense. And once Katakuri is in that form, Luffy's speed attacks won't do anything to Katakuri, just because his armament is much more superior than Luffy's. So at this point, you guys will be thinking, now that Katakuri has countered Luffy's speed, what will Luffy do? There's no way Luffy can beat him. Yes, there's no way Luffy can beat him with speed, but Luffy this time will have to beat Katakuri with power, and that is why he has to switch forms to Tankman and use his strongest possible attack and defeat Katakuri in one single blow. Which is why I believe that Luffy will go to Tankman and use his Kangan. Actually, it'll be the King Kongan which Luffy will use in his Tankman form. I believe that this attack is presently Luffy's strongest attack, and it'll deal a huge amount of damage. I'm pretty sure when Luffy uses this attack on Katakuri, the ball of mochi cover will be useless, and Katakuri, his ball of mochi, and half the mirror world will be sent flying. And the reason why Katakuri is forced to take this attack head on is because of the ball of mochi itself. Because Katakuri will be in this ball of mochi, he'll be focusing his energy on the Armament Haki. And since he was already irritated from Luffy's speed attacks, his mind won't be calm enough for him to predict what will be the outcome of this attack using his observation haki. So Katakuri will have to endure this attack, and on doing so, he will be defeated. And that is why chapter 883 was that important, because it showed Luffy as to how Katakuri's powers works. Because Katakuri's mind will be disturbed, he won't be able to focus on observation haki that well, and that is Katakuri's weakness. And Luffy will have to exploit it, and I don't see any better way for Luffy to exploit it than this. Having said all this, one can never really predict Oda. I mean, he's such a brilliant writer that even if you predict parts of it, it'll still blow your mind away. So that is the geniusness of Oda. So Oda might never really use this. He might actually look for a way for Luffy to get help, or he might actually show some incredibly cool power up of Luffy, or he might just use Awakening and Gear 5th to defeat Katakuri. So having said all this, this is what I believe will happen. I believe that Luffy doesn't need a gear 5th, he just needs to use an alternate form of gear 4th and irritate Katakuri to the point where Katakuri will be forced to use Armament Haki, and then Luffy can go Tankman and destroy Katakuri. So, if this theory actually comes true, what I'm really worried about is the after effects on Luffy, because Luffy would have used all three gears, I mean, all three forms of gear 4th on Katakuri. So, Luffy would have really exhausted his body, and I don't think he'll be able to move for not just 10 minutes but even more. And because of that, Luffy will be in a huge state of trouble. So it'll be interesting to see as to who comes to rescue Luffy. Whether it'll be Jimbei, whether it'll be someone from the Big Mom Pirates, whether it'll be Capone, or whether it'll be Pedro, who might actually still be alive. So it'll actually be really interesting to see as to who will save Luffy. Uh, Having said that, I'm coming to the end of this theory. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to see something about this theory, please do so in the comment section. And if you want to be notified for my future videos, please do subscribe. I would really appreciate it. This is Ashra the Demon signing off. Bye bye, guys.